Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End podcast. It's season 3, episode 5. It's deadlock in Derry as a 0-0 draw. I suppose a credible 0-0 draw, and the fact that maybe Greg Sloggett never got sent off proved a vital win of the night. Joining us to go through tonight is Andrew and Steph. Gentlemen,
first of all,
Hey, man.
So Greg Sloggett stayed on the pitch. Who would have thought, huh?
I didn't think so. Like, he probably should have been sent off twice.
Well, the commentators were looking for it for most of the second half, and every single time we got a free kick or Nathan Shepherd had a goal kick, he was time wasting. But had to listen to that for the whole second half. So, Gally, we'll come to you first, I suppose. 0-0 in the Brandywell. It's not a bad result at any stage.
No, I mean, look, I wouldn't say it's a hard fought draw. It's not a fantastic game, but I mean, look, you won't get many teams. I mean, especially at this stage of the season, you're not going to have many to go up there and hold them. To get not the score, never mind get a draw. But look, it's a solid game. It's a solid performance. First half was, I kind of commented in the chat. I thought it was a wee bit poor, a wee bit boring. But then when you look at over the grand scale of things, man for man, Derry on paper were a better team than Dundalk. So to go up there and take the draw home, it's one of those performances that the boys are set up to do a job. Go in, get the point, get out, get home, get ready for Derby next week. That's what it felt like. That's what could we have been better? Yeah, but then again, Derry could have been better. And Derry at their best. Do you want to be playing them up at the Brandywell? I'm happy enough to take that Derry team anytime we played them this year.
Yeah. Steph, point on the road, clean sheet. Coming from the defender in you, you're probably still loving that.
Yeah, look, we were always told, if you can draw your away matches and look after your home form, you'll have a very good season. So look, especially against them, they went the Rovers and beat them already, and top of the league, everything else, the squad they have, you would have took hand and all for a 0-0 draw up there before, and avoid a few red cards as well. Just unfortunate about Dan Kelly getting the injury. Look, he doesn't have any luck at all. I don't know what you're gonna have to get him down to Lords and get him blessed or something like that. He's very
unfortunate. Maybe.
Yeah, dip him in. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't get injured getting dipped in. No,
do we know what the injury is? Is there any talk after the game? No, is it just a hamstring?
Looked hamstring. Yeah. Mark Connolly was the exact same. His probably looked a wee bit worse as he was like in full flight, and you could tell he was a bit devastated by it. So look, hopefully it's nothing too serious, and if he's a couple of weeks out and then he gets back, hopefully they just erred on the side of caution more than it being a pull or anything else. So look, we'll take the positive out of it, and it's a draw and a clean sheet, and move on to the derby next Thursday.
Yeah, look, and I suppose before I forget, more to the point, we do have it's Friday night, we'll have our man a match competition for Tony's Pizzeria 15-inch pizza. So get your nominations in on his 300 appearance. Gally, would Andy Boyle be a good share for tonight, do you reckon?
Oh, I think, look, I've seen comments come in already. I mean, Gregory Sloggett's probably in there as well. Hayden Muller's in there. I mean, look, I don't want to get into it too early, but I mean, I didn't even realise, like you were saying it, Chris, for Andy Boyle, I know I'm going to get in ahead of you and take your line, but to make 300 appearances and spend time in England and, be at UCD and Shells, and I didn't even know until tonight that he was even close to that number. So it's incredible. Like I was Googling then at half time the appearances for Dundalk. I mean, there's not many. Your Martin Lawless, your Tommy Wax. 300 club is it's a savage. For a man that's been around for, it doesn't feel he's been around for that long, but that type of performance tonight. I mean, I seen a comment somewhere tonight. I don't know. I could be dipping into some. I don't know whose podcast, but it was like an Indian summer for Andy Boyle. I think somebody posted. I'm not taking credit for that tweet, but like we might have to go into the home bakery tomorrow and buy some humble pie because we hammered him last year. We absolutely slaughtered him. I'll say I slaughtered him. I won't speak for you, but he's been excellent pretty much from the word go all season. A bit of a stumble at the start of the first game, but the last couple of games he's been really, really solid. But yeah, he's definitely in there for the run of the night. I mean, we'd be three feckers if somebody didn't mention his name didn't get a pizza. But look, we'll see when it comes to the voting later on. But yeah, he's definitely up there. Fantastic match. Him and Muller are really good at the back.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Steph. Like himself and Hayden Muller pulled off a real good partnership there tonight. And look, 300 appearance for Boilers is a hell of a record already, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a testament that he was able to withstand the stick Gally gave him last year, and he's come back. He's come back stronger for it. But look, we didn't. I don't think we stuck the boot in him or anything. I think it was more along the lines of like he was an international at one stage, so we were saying, the standards that he reached, and he got over to the UK and he played in England and Scotland, and we sort of said, look, he came back and he was a bit below par, and he probably would have said, you would have owned up to that himself. So look, it's great to see him back performing. I think he did good finish to the season last year, and then he's picked up where he's left off. I thought he looked decent in pre-season, and there was one of the games, maybe it was the Finn Harps friendly, that himself and Muller looked very good, looked very solid. Like, look, it was first game, but they looked assured, and they looked to be on the same sort of wavelength. So look, it's great to see him back, and look, he's one of the leaders of the team, and if he's performing well, he was a big contribution towards the clean sheet tonight. I think moment that stands out, I think there was a cross coming into the back post, and he won the header even though he was getting dragged down. And for a second, I thought it was the commentators were sort of calling maybe it might be a penalty, but the ref was right on the spot, to be fair, and he gave it a free out, but he celebrated like it was a goal. And look, it was definitely worth a point. That header alone, like.
Gally, I suppose we're coming on the back of a third game in 7 days. It's enough, it stretches any team, and we were talking about maybe numbers being tight or whatever with ourselves this year. We've seen at the start of this, 4 changes: Muller back in, Ili Coco, Dan Kelly, and Hubin straight back in again. We're seeing that rotation come very, very early in the year, but when you have to do Friday, Monday, Friday, that's exactly what you need, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's, we kind of said earlier on, and not to harp on, but people that saying the squad was light, but the signings that Stevie's made over the last couple of weeks, those areas have been filled. We mentioned really early on after the UCD game that we didn't know if we had depth, on the wings, and in the cam role where Wardy would play or whatever. But the lads have come in, and Johannes in particular has been excellent. I mean, he's come in against Bowes, he scored, but he's had a really good solid start. I think if you're going to be if you're going to rotate the squad, and it's risky, I know you've mentioned it's 3 games in 7, but they're your 3 matches, your mini cup finals maybe at the start of the season, you want to pick up maximum points, so it's difficult to kind of make those decisions and get that right. I mean, we're throwing the draw the game next week as well, but it's worked out, and apart from maybe Hubin, anybody in behind him, I think we've got a good selection there that can play. Mali played high up as well during the season, so I wouldn't be against him rotating the squad even again next week. But I think we've enough there in it. It's not like we're bringing in people that maybe aren't ready or aren't maybe fit. These lads are round to go and chop at the bit to play. So it's great that we have that option. And there's no, even though we might have touch wood, no more injuries coming up. I know we got Dickie Kelly out and Moutley, but it's nice to see Benson get back in as well tonight. So things like that on the bounce for next week. Rotation is going to be key with the players that he has, because which is the Europe's coming up in the summer, the European games as well. You're going to need that option. You've also got this, the Shelbourne game on the 24th. So there's, what are we talking there? You're talking 4 or 5 games in less than 21 days. So it's a lot, So yeah, look, I mean, I wouldn't say the more rotation the better, but these lads have to get minutes, because if we get injuries, they're going to need to be coming off the bench ready to go and raring to go. So yeah, look, it's great that we have the options. You don't want to see it all the time, but like you say, the 3 games in 7 days, it's a toll on everybody, especially with Derry at the end of it.
Yeah, Steph, like, are we in danger of just meddling a little too much at times, do you think, because we have the options? Do you think Skip feels he should make these changes? Or do you also think that it shows how confident Skip is in this team, that he can make these changes, that he's happy that guys can come in and out and will be able to do just as good a job?
Yeah, look, I think he's managed it well. It could have backfired against Shells if we hadn't have picked up the win. Even a draw would have been seen as a poor result. But you could see the it wasn't cohesion. It wasn't very cohesive. The play, and the players weren't used to each other. In the Shells match, it took them a little bit to get up and running, and even getting the boys back on to push for the win against Shells.
Mm-hmm.
He's some chancer.
He's somebody.
Like, he doesn't even. He likes to do it in the middle of a comment. He doesn't even wait for us to talk and just disappear. Unbelievable.
I don't know what happened to me there.
That old chestnut pal.
And you were flying, Steph. You were flying.
I know, yeah. I
Go on, we can still hear you.
Broke me train of thought and everything, but yeah. Look, if anybody had said to you leaving Daly meant that you'd pick up 7 points in the next 3 games, especially the run of games we had, you would have bit the hand off for it. So look, he's managed it well. People are going to look back and say, look, we picked up 7 points out of 9. They're not going to look back and say, oh, you rested him and you should have played him and different things like that. So look, he can just point back to that and just say, look, we put the points on the board, and they've 6 days now to prepare for the Drogs game. So look, they'll all be raring to go, and you'd imagine bar the 2 injuries, and you think he'll have he'll put out a stronger side. Like, I can't see him resting anymore for that. So it'll be all guns blazing.
Yeah, look, in a game, Gally, with very little chances, we don't have a whole lot to talk about. But welcome back, Steph.
Thank you.
Did it say a lot for, I suppose, did it look like 2 teams at the end of these, the 3-game run, that there just wasn't that zip about both teams? Was it the pitch? Did that have something to do with it? Like, we seen it take a couple of bobbles as it was going around there today. There was very little, in particular from ourselves, very little intricate passing going on. It seemed to be kind of either run too fast or hold up too much, and the ball wasn't getting anywhere near some players at times. Like, what would you put it down to?
The cheesy thing to say is a combination of everything. You'd like to think that, I suppose, for a game like that, they would be up for it. I don't know whether tiredness might come into it. I think more cautious. Like, when you see the 2 injuries probably early on with the hamstrings, so probably that put a bit of doubt in their heads. It didn't stop Patrick McElhenney from running. It covered with 40 mile in that game, I think. But I don't know. Like, the pitch inspection area is probably just probably literally for plastic. Cold ice plastic. That's probably what they're checking for. I don't think there's anything else in it.
No.
But I don't know whether that makes it, there's a bit more give in it, or maybe the ball runs too quick. I don't know, but does it look like they're tired at the end of a 3? I don't know. I mean, for me, you'd like to think for that kind of game, I mean, it's not a top of the table clash, but it really should be, and you'd like to think they're up for it. But I can understand, you can't really argue with the fact that they've played 3 tough games. Yeah. It's so early in the season. The FAI are great at throwing out these fixtures. Like, it's only March, and they've done the same last year as well. But I think with the squad, like we just mentioned, the squad rotation should be enough that they can get this in. We mentioned strength and conditioning. It should be enough that they're still able to play and at a higher level. Whether or not the weather was a factor to drive up, I don't know. But it probably, we call draws pretty much. I don't know if, I think, Steph, I don't know what results you call. I think you called a draw as well, did you? In our chat.
No, I said 1-0. I said 1-0.
No, I wasn't open to them, just saying. But they never have the hallmarks, of an absolute belter of a game, So there's always, no matter when we play them, there's always that kind of nervousness about it. But yeah, look, for the game that's in it, we'll use the excuse of tiredness in 3 games, and Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt of that. It won't be like next Thursday night. That won't come into it.
No. Steph, I suppose in a chance of very little chances, I suppose, in our first half, should I say, one person that, poor Dara Leahy seemed to be run ragged tonight. There was a lot down his side. But when you think about it, I think the longer the game went on, the more confident he got. And he seemed to control that side a bit much. But he was run ragged for most of the first half, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, I think Graydon's excellent. I think he's very good. So dangerous. He's sharp. He's strong. He's fast. There's a lot I like about him. I'm not surprised we tried to snap him up. Derry probably give him about $4,000 a week. And a house. But look, every time I've watched him, he was impressive. He was impressive in the cup final. Leahy's hands are full. But look, he did sort of settle into it, and the game sort of died out. I know they were sort of putting the pressure on, but we didn't really. We withstood a lot of the pressure on that, and it probably didn't help Leahy getting a whack off Boyce in the first half either. It was a brutal tackle, and the commentators thought it was, he played the ball like it was. I don't know. Some of the stuff they were coming out, it was ludicrous again. Like it's hard to understand them as a first, but like, some of the stuff that were coming out where they were calling for penalties that had no chance. And look, I think Sloggett, I think that the Derry players obviously targeted him, tried to get him sent off, and every time they came near him, they were jumping around the place. But look, that's what you do if you know someone's on a booking, and you make the most out of any sort of challenge that comes in, or if they make any sort of foul, like so. Look, I think he weathered it a wee bit. It was a tough time for him in the first half, but he stuck at it. And look, we know Leahy long enough now. Like he's sort of dependable when he does play, and he's never like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 man the match. But you don't really see many wingers really taking him to town. Like I know there's a lot of people that won't that I've spoken that don't really like Leahy, but I think he's solid, and I think he's our best option at left full anyway, for sure.
Yeah, look, Carl gets a seamless plug again. I think, we're probably disappointed. We probably played better, Gally, in the first half than we did in the second, whether that was tired legs or whatever come in, but with just so few chances. Like I think we started off pretty well in the game. We were probing, looking for chances. The longer the first half went on, it kind of seemed to stretch a little bit more, and they had one or two chances. I'm thinking of that long pass over to Graydon where he cut inside Leahy, and then just he tried to curl it in, but it just didn't have the direction on it. But the second half then seemed to be more of that kind of playing out, that they were just trying to stretch us, kind of 2v1s all the time down the sides, and then kind of cut the ball back into Fats or to Patching, and then try to pick a pass out. There's something to be said for the defence, because they were certainly putting bodies on the line, in particular in that second half. Yeah,
and that was it. Like, and you won't come up like when they're on form. And in fairness, Derry probably weren't as look. It's a fantastic job, but Derry didn't hit full steam tonight either. But there's probably not a worse set of players to run at when Patrick McElhenney, Will Patching, these lads are on it. As a defender, it's got to be daunting. Steph would know more about that than me. He's come up against probably the best wingers in the league when he's playing. But I think what Derry were at in the second, they probably knew we were there for the taking if they could beat us for pace. But the difference was the lads were that, with the likes of Andy Boyle is on form, there's probably only 3 or 4 centre halves that are better than him in the league. Even now, I'm probably thinking Lee Grace on his day, Conley. There's not many when Andy's on it, and then you have Muller coming in as well. Muller's been outstanding. Yeah, these lads have been solid enough that it's going to take a lot to break them down. Now, I'd probably put the kiss of death on them now for next week, but I think there's nothing short of what I do on a Friday night at 11:15. But I think what Derry were sure of, they could definitely get them for pace and quickness of feet. But the difference was the lads are just rock solid. I mean, they really were. I know we could talk about Greg Sloggett, but Greg Sloggett tonight was again immense. I know we're talking about Andy Boyle 300 appearances, but Sloggett was absolutely sensational. Himself, Muller, and Boyle in that kind of triangle, defensively were solid. But I know Darren. I think Darren Mead had mentioned there that the Tulloch struggles at the back. Struggles with 2v1. You'd nearly forgive him that, because he can be very excellent going forward. But I thought as a unit tonight, they're defensive, and Pat dropping in the game, they were, I won't say unbeatable, but we were set out to do a job, and Derry would have learned very quickly, probably after maybe 65, 70 minutes. Derry were probably all out of ideas. I know they rallied a little bit at the end, a couple of corners, but anybody could score from corners. But I thought, as a defensive unit, on the flip side of that, whether or not we could repeat that in Weavers Park next week, I don't know. Because I think they'll be watching that tonight saying, right, well, we need
it's a different pitch, though, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, it's a different, and you're coming up
more compact.
Exactly, and it's any kind of wrong, you're in there the wall. I was going to say I didn't want to get into it, but I was going to say.
Oh, it's a lovely stadium.
The lads will be looking in on that tonight, and it's. From a defensive point of view, it's a fantastic result. It really is. To go up there and 0-0, but Derry. I don't think Derry would be happy with it. I think they'll probably be annoyed that they couldn't break us down. But we'll take it every day of the week against that type of squad. Now the only thing is, will we get away with it again? I'm not so sure. But I thought tonight it worked really well, really well.
Steph, is there something to be said? We've seen. In the Pats match, a reaction probably to the Bulls defeat on Monday night. We've seen us grind out a win against Shelbourne, and now we've gone up to Derry and really backs to the wall at times. But I don't think we were really saturated with them peppering the goal or anything like that. But we sucked up enough pressure and put important blocks in. Are we seeing, I suppose, different elements to this team and shown that? We ain't going to be a pushover. There's enough lads who'll put bodies on the line and grind out results, even whether it's for a win or a draw.
Yeah, and it's not easy to get up for a home game, but when you're the backing of your own crowd and your supporters, and it's different then when you go away, especially up there, up to Derry, it could be hostile. The wind seems to swirl around the place. I'm sure that didn't help. Some of the play, as well as the weather and the freezing conditions, and that's when character and testament comes into it. If your back's against the wall, you want someone like Andy Boyle beside you, someone like Muller that's gonna be able to play out and be solid as well at the same time. So look, Sloggett ran everywhere, closed down everything, done as usual, and that he's been doing all season. So you need players that dig in, especially in the away matches. Tough away, they're top of the league. They've been picking up the results. I think they drew their first league game and they've won every game since. So for us to go into their own patch and pick up, I thought it was fully deserved point. I don't think they could be saying, they dominated us or they created clear-cut chances that they should have scored and stuff like that. McGonigal, I think, had 3 or 4 half-siders in the first 20 minutes, but nothing you could say, they cut us open with. Yeah. So, look, we probably are showing a different side. Last year, we might have not rolled over, but, we might have been unlucky losers and coming away with a better performance slightly maybe, but not as solid defensively. So, you need this. If you want to really push on and make a charge for Europe again, or even go slightly better, be involved in a title race, you need to, away from, was a big part of it. And last year, I think it's been well documented how poor it was. So, look, it's only positive for me. Again,
I think. Gally, if we talk about probably the one big chance in the whole of the match was Nathan Shepherd's save in the second half from Doherty. He timed to at the edge of the box, just pick it out. John Martin was running to close it down. It looks like he might have took a bit of a nick off him, and I think the commentators thought that he took a bit of the pace off it. But Shepherd a full stretch, like that's what you want when you're being peppered under stuff, and you look for your keeper to pull off a big save. He's definitely a man for that occasion, and it shows how much he's grown in his team over a year and a bit now.
Yeah, we're still talking. What is he? 21? Is he 21? 22? It's
even
it's crazy. Like, considering he's only been in the game. Like, we only heard of him when he signed for Dundalk. I know my Brentford fans would have known him, but he's been top class. I mean, like, it's very rare he's an off. Like, I don't think he's had an off night. I mean, yeah, the preseason game, the famous preseason game last season, but he's one of our. I'd probably go as far as he's like, you've got a potential there in a vice captain or a captain down the line. I think he's that kind of leader. He's that kind of dominance in the box, which you need as a keeper. But 9 times out of 10, he'll earn points on his own sometimes, and it's sometimes when there's nothing happening in the game. I've seen him play. I think we might have played. I don't know if it was Bowes last season. There was a game where there was nothing happening, and he pulls off an unbelievable save right at the end. He's done nothing for 88 minutes.
Yeah,
and he's got both in his locker, and I think games like that, saves like that, if you've seen if we go on the flip side of that, you look at David Odomuso tonight in Pats, it goes to show when the concentration goes, and he's had a bad week against us as well. But Shepherd seems to have that in him every week. He doesn't go missing. He's always dominant. He's top class. He really is. Like you're looking at the best keeper in the league. We know Brian Maher would give an argument there. I don't think Alan Manis. I know he's been excellent last season, but not on form at the minute. I still think Shepherd on his day is probably the best in the league. I give Maher maybe a nod, but it's top class having a player like that, especially when the lads in front of him are playing well. And I think it's vital. You've got top class keepers. It really is. So for someone so young to be that dominant, to be that good, to be heavily reliant on as well. I mean, it's a credit to the lads who signed him, whoever scouted him, whoever got Stevie made the call to sign him. Yeah. Top class. Really, it'll probably go down in over the next 2 or 3 seasons. Probably, if not, probably the best signing we've made. I mean, really, like Pat Hooban re-signing would be right up there, but Sheps is definitely up there with the top signings we're probably going to have under Stevie's reign.
Sunday.
Go on. Quick Google search. 22.
22.
So he is now, yeah.
He's older than I thought, that's true.
Write him off.
He's finished.
He's not finished, he's Welsh. Steph, but I think it showed a little there from Shep in that game. Like his game management was excellent today. Hit the ground when he needed to hit the ground. He was moving the ball left and right when he was doing his goal kicks, just eating up a couple of vital seconds. I think this is the difference you see. He talked about when he first made the move over, he was very keen to play, senior football and mix it up to see how he could do it. You can see how much he's learned in a short term already at the club. That little bit of just being wise, eating down the clock when you can. It looked like the commentators were losing their nut over it today. But, that's what you have to do. That's modern football, and you eat up whatever minute you can.
Yeah, the game management. And I think that spoke about... he was down getting a bit of treatment, and you were thinking, Jesus, not another hamstring injury. But they were actually, they were sorting themselves out tactically or whatever. And Stevie obviously told them to go down because the keepers obviously can't come off if they get treatment. Little stuff like that. Like, he's gained experience. I'm sure, he's delighted he made the move over here instead of just staying with the Brentford B side. I know he was captain on that side for a while, and look, to play senior football and get the experience he's getting at the minute. He's gonna touch wood play in Europe in the summer, and he's come on leaps and bounds. Like, I think a lot of people looked at him in the Malone Cup game going, I don't know whether it was still the hangover of Alessio still in the back of people's minds, a bit nervous about a keeper. But look, he's come on. He really has come on leaps and bounds. I don't think we knew what the keeper he was going to be. Stevie's picked out a couple. He had the Aros with Pats, who was very impressive as well. So look, I don't know how he's spotting these goalkeepers, but hopefully Shepherd's around for a long time to come. He's been excellent. I don't think you can fault any part of his game at the minute.
Yeah, I think even when if you look through the course of the game, at the very start, I think Derry won about 10 corners today, but at the very start, they were trying to get them right in the 6-yard box, right in on top of him. But by the end of the match, they were swinging the ball out away from him because he was punching everything in there. They weren't going to get anything from it. And so it probably tells you a lot how he played as well, that they ended up having to redo their tactics slightly to maybe try a different way to get past him. That was just a general comment. I don't know if that was a question. I'm sorry.
No, look, I think at the start of last year, there might have been a few teams targeting him. I think Daly Mount.
But to be fair, I think we done that on Friday though against Odamuso. We could see he was shot for confidence and then started piling in on top of him. So I think
absolutely.
Sometimes for inexperienced keepers, that's what you think to do. But I think Shep kind of stood up to that tonight.
Yeah, it's a massive confidence thing as well. Being a goalkeeper, like, you know, if you can see, you could have the best game of your life for 88 minutes, and then you might drop a cross and it leads to a goal, or you fumble a shot that goes into the corner, and you know that's the only thing people remember you in the match for. Like, he's dropped one in. Like, so look, it's the most mentally focused position on the pitch. Like, you're specialised. Like a striker could fill in at right full and do a half decent job, but look, if someone has to jump in goals, it's a total different kettle of fish. So look, I think he's grown in stature as a player and probably as a man as well. The little video clips of him last year living in the house with the other Welsh boys, and I think he was doing the cooking and cleaning for them and everything. Like, but you know, little things like that, you like the fans wouldn't realise, you know, he's coming into a different country. He's probably no family or friends around him at the time. I don't know what the situation is now, but look, I know you try and make people as welcoming and make them feel at home as you can. But look, he's obviously doing everything right. If you're happy off the pitch, you'll be more happy on it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and Gary, I suppose another one we're looking at then tonight was Tulloch. Probably a tougher match for him tonight than his experience. You know, we've seen that real great impact over the past 2 games. This one seems to be a little bit tougher for him tonight. And then we see something we hadn't seen so far this year, but you know, we've seen it previously with Skip when he felt he was under the cosh, was make like a double or a triple substitute. It was a triple substitute tonight. Yeah. How do you feel that impacted on the game? You think it was at the right time and just to swap up a personnel more than formation change?
Yeah, that's like at some stage, Steve, as much as you probably wouldn't admit it, you probably have an eye on next week. I mean, we know that's a massive game tonight, but you're probably thinking, you know, what can you do to maybe get the benefit out of taking players off and getting the most out of getting minutes onto the boys on the bench as well? But I they're all like for like. I don't really see a massive change in it. But the triple substitute, the thing about a triple substitute, I remember reading, it's just come into my head. I remember Bobby Robson doing, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but Bobby Robson done it at Newcastle and he got hammered for it.
Yeah.
But the difference was that it's rare you see it. So it plays in the opposition's mind as well and the coaches on the far bench because they're making 3 at the one time. And in the Premier League, you can only make 3. You know, this is going back 15 years ago. So he made all those 3 subs at the one time. I know it's different here, but you know, it can play on everybody's mind, right? Making 3 subs, that's 3 fresh legs, 3 sets of legs, you've got on 3 fresh players. You know, it can play on everybody's mind. It's tactical and psychological, but you know, we're in a position where we can make those substitutes. Whereas even as early as probably maybe at the start of last season, we probably couldn't have done that. We definitely couldn't have done it the year before. But you know, we didn't even have players on the bench. Never mind, we wanted to make 3 subs. We accountants and everybody sitting at the bench at one stage. No, I think.
But if you look at the players thing, Gally, so Yili Coco, Tulloch, and Hooben came off. Like Hooben probably ran himself into the ground because he was trying to put pressure all over those back fours, and the other 2 lads had just played, you know, the previous 2 matches. So it's probably just a bit of fresh legs in there, and
that's it. And it's not like you're putting on like Steph had said. I think it's not like you're putting a striker in the right back to cover position. You're putting on boys that need the minutes, but have also got, you know, plenty of experience in their legs. Like Tulloch's been a breath of fresh air coming in. Like, you know, when you compare him to, you know, the likes of Ryan O'Kane, he seems to get a bit of a start on him he's probably a bigger frame. He's probably a bit more of a stride on him. But strength-wise, he probably has a little bit more than Ryan at the minute. But I don't think there's a massive change when you make these substitutes. I think it's I don't want to say like for like, I suppose, but it gives you something else no matter what way you go with it, because you're getting the same position covered, but they are two very different players in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think Tulloch's more of a Tulloch could also play. He could probably play wing back. He's got that strength and pace if he was taught how to do it. Whereas Ryan would just be all hell for leather going forward, similar to like a Keith Ward. But I like it every so often with the three substitutes. I don't really see for want of a better word, why drag them out? So why make like Stephen Kenny was famous for it. He used to make a substitute in like the 80th minute and then come along 82nd and then the 85th.
You could time it though, couldn't you?
Yeah, he'd time it and it'd be more often than not, who's going to argue with him? But it would interrupt the game enough. But now you have, you can make the extra one, so there's that option there. But I think the freshen up, it keeps our boys on the toes as well, knowing that, right, lads, if it needs to come off, there'll be three of you coming off at one time if it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it's provided it's a positive and it's for the right reasons to bring them on. Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any major issue with it. Especially, the big thing is when you're willing to make it against a team like Derry, you're not afraid to do it. It speaks volumes about the players and the coaches that we have at the club at the minute.
I suppose we also seen probably our strongest bench that we've had for a while. So, Lewis, Benson, Martin, Elliott, Wardy, Robbie McCourt back on the bench, of course.
Yeah.
Waziri, O'Kane, and then Mark Byrne obviously being our substitute keeper, with Peter Cherry taking the time off for the loss of his dad. And obviously we're thinking of Peter and the family at this time as well. That's a pretty strong bench, and it hasn't been something we've been able to say for a long time.
No, and it's even great to see Robbie McCourt as well. It's great to see him as an option, because obviously he came in last season and didn't really get to hit the ground running at all with a couple of injuries. But to have Benson as well, and like when you look at the bench, even, and it sounds a bit cliche, like if you look around the league, they all probably get in, if not start, for most of the other teams in the league and get into it. So to have options like that on the bench, to come off and give you that little bit of spring that you might need. Now, obviously tonight, it probably just maintained the game for us. They didn't really add anything to it, I suppose, in the case of, get going on to win the game or anything like that. But to sustain what we had on the field, there were pretty good substitutions and options to have. Even when you look at someone like Robbie McCourt, I know I mentioned at the start, but that's a player. If ever a player that needs minutes and needs to get back on the forefront with the fans and getting game time, because we haven't really seen a lot of them in the game. We might get a run at maybe Shells on the 24th in the Leinster Cup. But players like that you want to see playing, because Stevie obviously has a lot of faith in him, because he signed them. We kind of come out of the blue to sign, I suppose, from Sligo. But players like that, to have that option, to have them fit, ready to go, and to be able to even for Stevie, for the lads, the coach on the bench, to look around and see those type of players on the bench, ready to go, eager to play. And for want of a better word, to see the likes of the players bricking themselves, to know that they'll be taken off for those type of players who can keep their spots and keep them on the bench. Yeah, it's competition for places. I'm just looking at Darren's comments here. There's a player that probably didn't have any competition for places. The assist king, when he played under Kenny, there was nobody as good as Dafla. For 44 assists, that's one of our records, isn't it? In the one season, but
absolutely,
he didn't need any competition for places, Dafla. No, that's what it's competition. That's why he brings these boys in on loan, late signings. We're not used to the late signings either, so they all have to. It comes to fruition eventually. We've got to use all these players, and to have a bench like that, it's fantastic to have. And obviously, thinking of Peter as well. Bowen would have been on the bench tonight, but Peter would normally be there as well. And look for circumstances, but look, it's fantastic to be able to look to the bench and have that caliber. Whereas for years we've been used to, Egypt. That's probably one thing better. Look to the bench and you don't want to make a sub, but 2 seasons ago nobody wanted to make subs because this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah, but I think it just goes to show how strong it is, because, like I say, we're probably doing like for like, or we could do a tactical change or something like that. That those options haven't always been available to us.
Exactly.
Interesting chat with Robbie McCourt on Black and White Town this week with Gav, talking about Robbie McCourt, and him and Tulloch were at West Brom together at one stage. So
I completely forgot Robbie McCourt was at West Brom until that came out.
But Robbie McCourt was absolutely raving about him when he came over. He says, when you see this lad, that he is going to light this up. Like, he is a sensational footballer. So he could see it back then. And the fact that we're still able to attract a player of that caliber over here, that's excellent. So I'm wondering how much of a say Robbie had in this, in him coming over.
Like that, you might have to thank a player like that, for bringing in. Like he definitely has a keen eye for a player as well, because Tulloch seems to be one of those players that,
a bit like a Bradley last year.
Yeah, he has. I actually think he's an all-round naturally better athlete than him as well, and because he's such a powerful. He's like a John Mountain. He's got that power with him, and if Robbie McCourt can spot players like that, and that's why Stevie gave him a contract. If he's going to be doing a bit of scouting for him, maybe that's where all the players are coming from. But
I think he was unfortunate though. He was on his way back, he was saying, and then just around Christmas time, another injury again, and now he has himself right. So it'd be nice.
Yeah, you hope he gets a couple of games.
Now with the Leinster Senior Cup back there, like there's a perfect chance to get Robbie in now for a couple of minutes maybe, and just wondering, if that's the perfect opportunity to get him in. What way are you tomorrow, Ethan?
I'm busy. I'm back in Lineker on this one, so I'm busy. I'm taking.
If you look at your tweets, pal, you're in big trouble.
Jermaine Jean has tweeted earlier, he won't take it either. So if he's not taking it, we're definitely not taking it. No, but just like the likes of, we're talking about the bench. We mentioned Robbie McCourt, but I hope that the Leinster Cup will come out for these lads. This is what these boys need to play. Like Tiernan Mulvena was on in this last season saying, Leinster Cup, it's great to be back. You get the blood, the young fellas, but we also get the blood first team players that aren't getting the minutes, and we don't get to see them playing. That's what the Leinster Cup's about. It's a great competition to be in, but it gives you a chance to see players you wouldn't normally see. So I hope Robbie gets a run of that.
And Steph's disappeared, but we'll start our chat anyway. About man of the match now. I'm going to say, Gally, that there's a bit of a landslide in one direction here. I'm not going to lie to you. But there's probably, unlike previous weeks where we've probably seen 5 different players probably being nominated, it's more of a landslide in between 2 players. I don't know if we're all getting nostalgic just for Boiler, for the night that's in it as well. But look, we did see him throw his body on the line here too. So like, there's definitely probably more in one way than the other. Yourself, what did you think for man of the match? And just as a last call for everybody, if they want to get involved in the man of the match, obviously for a free Tony's Pizza. This is your last call.
I'll drag my man of the match out for 6 minutes. We have about 6 minutes to mention it. I didn't think I'd be sitting here with Andy Boyle. It's been a long time since I put Andy Boyle probably forward himself for man of the match, and I hold my hand up on it. But he's been in excellent form. I think Greg Slogger tonight again. We could probably not watch the game and come in and know Greg Slogger at this stage, knowing that he's had a solid match. I give a mention of Muller as well, but it would be between. I think Greg and Andy will probably be outstanding too tonight. It's very difficult, after 300 appearances for the club. I mean, I don't remember the last. James Rogers might correct me. I don't remember the last person. I don't know off the top of my head who's done that, but to have 300 appearances, and he is, he's been absolutely solid this season. I can't see past Andy Boyle tonight. I mean, normally I'm all over Greg Slogger because he's the main man when it comes to the town end. But
he'd be a hat trick though if Greg did do it. It'd be 3 in a row.
Never thought of that. I'm still going to stick with Andy Boyle unless Steph comes in and use 2 goals against me. But 300 appearances. Look at the man's. You're probably looking at. In my lifetime, watching up at Oriel Park, Andy Boyle, Garts, Mick Doohan, I can't think any more better centre halves than Boyle at the minute. So yeah, I'm Andy Boyle on that one.
I'm probably James Rogers just said Mounts was the last, so there you go.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know Mountain had that many.
So there you go. Fair play, James. But I think we've seen changes in that back line, but Boyler's been ever present so far this season as well. And you think the personnel has changed around him somewhat, depending on the games and stuff like that. Also now, you kind of just mentioned it with Robbie McCourt coming back now as well. That's extra competition back there, hoping that's going to just kind of raise the standard in that back line as well. Yeah. And if Andy Boyle was the benchmark for what we need in defence tonight, that's some standard to have to keep up, because he was marshalling. It was back to the old days of Boiler without a doubt. He was marshalling everything in defence. He was putting the body in when he needed to. hitting the ground, like Steph mentioned, winning fouls in important times as well. Probably highlighting it to the referee to make sure he does win the foul off it, and that just eats up another little bit of time. I think, yeah, it was kind of vintage performance from there. So I think, it is
difficult to argue. It's
yeah, and I think on another night we'd all be over Greg. Yeah, and the fact that he was on the yellow card, and he still managed to see it out. And Darren is also agreeing with us. I think that's it then. If Darren agrees, then we're all agreeing.
Yeah, that's it. Darren's spoken.
That's good enough for me.
King has spoken.
Exactly.
And even if you take the 300 performance, he's still at a solid night. He's still in the running. He's still right up there. Look, we're obviously not biased, but I mean, Greg Sloggett's or Townend, but I mean, Andy Boyle he's been outstanding. You couldn't deny it even without the 300. He's definitely up there.
Yeah. There's probably nothing better if you're away at the time and you had a chance to come back, and when you were hitting, say you were away abroad, Andrew, and just when you hit back to Dundalk, you were thinking you were starving. Imagine having a pizza sitting there for you, because I'm hearing that Daniel Shields might be in Greece on holidays at the moment, and
is he now?
Imagine landing back in, and you've just won yourself a 15-inch Tony's pizza.
You have the munchies from the BO.
Yeah. So there we go. So you don't have to worry about where the food's coming from when he lands back in. Congratulations, Daniel. You're a pizza winner tonight for our Andy Boyle winner tonight for a man of the match competition. So congratulations, and thanks always to Tony's Pizzeria and to Vinny and the crew there for their continued support for this season.
And you don't only have to wait a week for the next one. It's only 6 days away. Steph, who's your pick for man of the match? We've already done it. There we go. Clean sweep, boys. Clean sweep.
Boyle or Darren Meenan?
Darren Meenan. Darren Meenan's got 2 pizzas.
Who won the pizza?
Well, we want to know who your pick was first.
All right, okay. Who was my pick to win the pizza?
Who was your pick for man of the match?
Boyle. I said Boyle already.
All right.
And I said, yeah, Boyle would be. Sloggett was up there, obviously, and possibly Shepherd, maybe. I don't know if he done Shepherd done enough, maybe that. But Boyle definitely, Boyle for me.
Well, Dan Shields owes you a slice of pizza when he comes back from holidays.
Dan Shields, good man.
When he's back, if he's gone away for 2 weeks, he has to order it. So it's a couple going to your house next Friday, Steph. You have to order it before the next game.
I'll mind it from.
There we go. Steph, just I suppose as a way of wrap up now, looking forward to Thursday's match now up in Weavers Park against Drogheda United. This draw probably consolidates us to make it look like we're obviously very hard to defeat now, and probably gain a bit of confidence in that defence after conceding, against UCD, which people say, we probably should have been able to see that game out. I think if that UCD game happens now, we come away with all 3 points. I think there's just a different confidence in the team now.
Yeah.
Going to Weavers Park now, yeah, it's a different game. We found it very hard there last year. The size of the pitch, they play it compact. They stop us trying to play any sort of fluidity on that pitch. How do you see it going?
Yeah, look, I think it was mentioned by you earlier, Gally, there might be a sellout already. It'll be hostile, it's tight. Do you know what I mean? Even the Malone Cup game, there was a bit of bite to it. The players were at each other, and the fans will probably be at each other in the streets after. But look, it's always something to really look forward at. I don't think we never go up there fearing the worst or anything like that. But you know, it hasn't been great over the years for us. No. We picked up a couple of results there last year, so they're not conceding much at all. I was just keeping a close eye on them. Obviously, Manny's.
Is this the Manny Derby now? Is it?
This is the
that's a podcast itself.
Yeah. They're making a Netflix documentary about
just on the timeline, is it?
About the transfer over. So, look, I've been keeping a close eye. I think Keeley is is a great signing for them. I think he's big, strong, solid. A few people sort of said, look, he mightn't have suited Dundalk if we're a ball playing side, but anytime I've watched him, I've been impressed with him. So look, they're not really conceding much, and have picked up wins like there tonight. You know, it's not a gimme 3 points at the bowl anymore, but they've picked up a 1-0 win. Someone got a header, I can't remember who it was. But yeah, look, it's one that we can really look forward to now. We've kept the momentum going. We've drawn away to the league leaders, and possibly the way Rovers are going at the minute, you'd have to fancy them strongly that they'd be favourites to lift the title this season. So, do you know, I think we'd be buoyed going there. We've a good week to prepare, or 6 days. Everyone will be fresh. Do you know, if we should be going there all guns blazing, really looking to pick up the 3 points. I think we will be deservedly favourites going down there, but you know, we don't pick up anything easy, so we'll have to fight for everything we get.
Yeah, Gary, look, I think it's a mixture of real experience with the likes of Ryan Brennan, Gary Deegan in the middle of the park, but then the likes of Freddie Draper and that up front then is a bit of a unknown entities kind of still to the league. But for a young lad, he's quite big and well built, like, you know, so it could be a good ding-dong battle here.
Look, it will be. I mean, and you can pretty much guarantee probably it'll be a better game than tonight. And I don't mean that to say tonight was a poor. It's just, it'll probably, I don't know if it'll be an end-to-end game, but you just mentioned it. Gary Deegan is probably, I know Steph, good mates, and Steph's played with him, but we should have been in for him when he signed for Drogheda. Like, I couldn't believe we didn't go in for him, especially with Shields going as well. He's an animal. He's still playing anybody in the league, in my opinion. But when you're up against players like that who are naturally fired up for games, I mean, like, I'd absolutely break myself going up against him in midfield. But look, like Steph said, they've got to be up for it. If you can't get up for the Loud Derby, even, you know, you're hoping the lads that come in, they'll be, in the next couple of days, they'll be shown, look, this is what it means. This is, you know, it's a big deal. You've also got the Rovers game, you know, in a couple of weeks as well. But this is, you know, your Loud Derby. And in fairness to the lads, Kevin Doherty and Darragh, I didn't think they'd be able to. I'm not saying they're showing high, but they did a decent season last season as well. I didn't think they'd be able to. I thought they'd be one of the favourites for relegation. I never thought it would work, but they've done a really top class job. Like, you know, Manny's tonight again. Like, it's sickening to see players like that, but they put a really good squad together. And they'll be more than up for it, especially in their back garden as well. It's a tight pitch. There's no doubt it'll be hostile more than tonight. But really looking forward to it. Like, I think I put up. I think the home tickets are sold out. So I don't know what stories with the away ones yet, but it's going to be, especially the Thursday night. You know, they originally had it there. We flagged it last year. Did they have it there for Paddy's night? I think last year.
Patrick,
I don't know what they were thinking there.
It was the night after Paddy's Day, wasn't it?
No, it was the night.
No, it was on the Friday. It
was actually Friday.
Are you sure?
It's now moved to Thursday.
I don't know, like, this is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think last year it was the day after Paddy's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Mad.
I think we lost 1-0 to a penalty, wasn't it?
That's it.
Yeah. But it should be. Look, it is all. Look, the predictions are the games. I thought tonight would have been a cracker as well, but it is all the hallmarks to be a really good game. Really, really good game. I'm just hoping. I definitely don't agree with Darren's easy 3, but I mean, you're hoping for 3, but
yeah, I think a scrappy 3 at this stage.
Absolutely, yeah. Last minute, look, you want your bragging rights. You want to go down there. Oriel Park's great for these games as well. But when you can go away on a derby game and take points away and come home with 3 points, they're the nights you want to see. And yeah, looking forward to it on Thursday. Yeah, short one into it. Yeah.
Well, somehow we've managed to pull nearly 57 minutes out of a 0-0 draw with about 2 shots on target. So
that's why Paul Carroll's right. That's why Match of Day is going to be on us.
That's why we're the best in the business. You know what I mean?
This is it. This is it.
The fans' favourite.
They come for the pizza, but stay for the content.
We haven't done. I just said it before the podcast. We haven't done score predictions all season. We're going to go score predictions for next week, or we leave it. We don't want to chance around, do we? So we might as well. I've said it now. We might as well.
3-3 to Dundalk.
3-3 to Dundalk.
1-0. Dundalk.
1-0 to the town.
I'm going for the scrappy one.
You're gonna ask Mo here. I think we win 1-0 away. We'll reverse. We'll get a penalty, and I don't know who'll score it though.
Yeah, David Moore's taking my prediction. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Town. He's got in there before me.
Good minds think alike, Ali. There you go. Right, in the interest of wrapping this up, lads, under the hour. And thank you as always to our sponsors here. Thanks to Donal Green and Dundalk Village for their continued sponsor. We're hoping there's something really big in the next few weeks going forward with Donal as well. So can't wait to let everybody in on that. We've mentioned it before, but as always, thanks to Vinny and the team in Tony's Pizzeria for their continued support for the Man of the Match competition, and to Player Fit and to Carl for our merchandise that we currently have. And we probably have the shop back active again very soon. Steph, were you ending this one?
Yeah, Darren Meenan said it earlier, so that's the bottom line because Andy Boyle said so.